Kai Ronan's first conscious thought was pain. Sharp, burning pain that lanced through his ribs with every shallow breath. The second was confusion as red emergency lights flickered across shattered viewscreens and twisted metal. His survey ship had crashed. The Forbiddance Nebula world had claimed another victim. Then he saw her. She emerged from the luminescent mists like something from a fever dream, impossibly beautiful and utterly alien. Her skin was navy blue, deep as midnight oceans, and seemed to hold captured starlight beneath its surface. Blonde hair, the color of pure gold, flowed past her shoulders in waves that defied the gentle wind. But her eyes, though, stopped his heart. They swirled with galaxies, with nebulae and dying stars, vast and ancient and terrified. She knelt beside him with trembling grace, her hands hovering over his broken body. "Please," she whispered, and her voice was music and thunder combined. "Please don't die. Not yet. Not before I can ask." Kai tried to speak, but she pressed slender navy fingers to his forehead. The touch sent images flooding into his mind, her truth laid bare in telepathic honesty. Lyraya, exiled goddess. Bound by celestial chains, he could now see as faint silver threads wrapped around her wrists and throat, pulsing with each stolen fragment of her essence. Centuries alone on this forbiddance world, her divine power draining to nothing, immortality becoming an endless prison of solitude. "I need you," she said aloud, her voice breaking on the words. No goddess should sound so desperate, so achingly vulnerable. "Let me stay with you. I'll give you pleasure beyond any human woman ecstasy that touches soul and stars alike, if only you'll keep me. Anchor me. Let me bind myself to your mortal soul." Kai's rescue beacon chose that moment to crackle and die, sparks showering from the damaged equipment. Through the cracked viewport, he saw violet lightning split the darkening sky. Storms gathering. Time running out for both of them. Lyraya's hands moved to his broken ribs without waiting for permission, and cosmic energy flowed from her palms. It wasn't just healing. It was pure bliss that made every nerve in his body sing with sensation he'd never imagined possible. Pleasure and warmth and a rightness that banished the pain replaced it with something transcendent. He gasped, back arching, and she steadied him with gentle strength. "I can give you this and so much more," she breathed, her galaxy eyes meeting his, hope and fear warring in their depths. "But without you, I fade to nothing. With you?" She pressed her forehead to his, blonde hair creating a curtain around their faces. "With you, we could both survive this darkness. I've been alone for so long. Please, let me stay." Kai stared at this goddess brought low, this immortal being begging a mere man for sanctuary, and felt something crack inside his chest, something that had been frozen by years of void-walking isolation. She wasn't asking for worship. She was asking for connection, for someone to choose her. "Tell me what I need to do," he said. Night fell across the nebula world like a velvet curtain studded with alien stars. Bioluminescent flora bloomed around the crash site, casting azure and violet glows that painted Lyraya's navy skin in shades of twilight. Kai watched her move through their makeshift shelter, elegant and beautiful, yet increasingly fragile as the celestial chains continued their slow theft of her essence. "You should rest," she said, arranging salvaged thermal blankets with careful precision. "The bonding ritual will require strength from both of us." "Tell me about yourself first," Kai said, patting the space beside him. "If we're going to bind our souls together, I should know more than just your desperation." Something flickered in her galaxy eyes' gratitude, perhaps that he saw her as more than a bargain. She settled beside him, close enough that he could feel the warmth radiating from her navy skin. "I was worshipped across 17 systems once," she began, blonde hair catching the bioluminescent light. "Temples built in my name, prayers offered at dawn and dusk. But I made the mistake of loving mortals too deeply, of finding more truth in their fleeting hearts than in divine indifference. Her voice grew softer. My own kind said I diminished myself. They called it corruption, this love I felt for beings who lived and died in the blink of my endless existence. So they exiled me here, bound my power, and left me to fade slowly into nothingness. A single tear traced down her navy cheek. I thought I'd die alone, forgotten, until your ship fell from the sky like an answered prayer. Kai reached out, hesitant, then brushed the tear away with his thumb. Her skin was impossibly soft, warm despite its alien hue. I know loneliness, he admitted. Years in the void, ship to ship, never staying anywhere long enough to matter to anyone. We're not so different, you and I. Then you'll do it? Hope blazed in her eyes. You'll let me bind to you? Yes, he said simply, and watched her entire body sag with relief. She guided him through the preparations with gentle instruction. They sat face to face, her legs wrapping around his waist, bodies pressed close in intimate proximity. Open yourself to me, she whispered, her hands clasping his. Mind, heart, soul. Let me in, and I'll let you into everything I am. Kai took a breath and dropped his walls, all the defenses he'd built over years of isolation. Their foreheads touched, and the world exploded into sensation. Energy flowed between them like a river finding its course. He felt her loneliness crash against his own, two vast solitudes recognizing their mirror. Her joy at connection, his wonder at her divine complexity, the pleasure building as their essences intertwined. The celestial chains around her wrists and throat began to glow warmer, loosening their stranglehold as his mortal anchor took hold. Lariah gasped, her back arching, blonde hair spilling across his arms. I feel you, she breathed, voice thick with emotion. Your kindness, your gentle strength, the years of isolation you've carried. The nebulous storm struck with the fury of an angry god. Violet lightning tore across the sky in jagged arcs, illuminating the alien landscape in strobing flashes of brilliance. Wind howled through the wreckage, setting loose metal screaming against twisted frames. The world itself seemed determined to tear apart everything in its path. Inside their shelter, Kai held Lariah close as the storm's violence surrounded them. Her power, strengthened by their bond, shimmered around them in a protective dome of golden energy. As long as we're together, she said, navy fingers interlaced with his human ones, I can keep us safe. The fear in both their hearts of the storm, of the unknown future, of this impossible connection, transformed into something else, something urgent and desperate and achingly necessary. Lariah kissed him with a hunger that surprised them both, her divine lips soft yet insistent against his. Kai responded with equal need, his hands tangling in blonde hair that felt like silk between his fingers. Let me worship you, she breathed against his neck, her touch trailing fire across his skin, as mortals once worshipped me. Let me show you pleasures no human woman could give. Her hands explored his body with divine precision, finding every sensitive place, every nerve that made him gasp and shudder. She knew, somehow, exactly how to touch him, where to press, where to tease, where to worship with lips and fingers until he was trembling beneath her. The pleasure was overwhelming, cosmic in its intensity, yet tender in its delivery. This wasn't just physical, it was emotional, spiritual, a joining of souls that transcended mere flesh. Lariah, he groaned her name like a prayer, and she smiled against his skin. Navy and beautiful in the storm's strange light, between moments of passion, vulnerability surfaced. She pulled back, galaxy eyes shimmering with unshed tears. What if rescue comes and you leave me here? Her voice cracked. What if you decide a goddess's love is too dangerous, too strange? What if this is just survival to you? Kai cupped her face with both hands, thumbs stroking across navy cheeks. Look at me, he commanded gently. She met his gaze. I've spent years alone in the void, Lariah. I know what it means to be isolated, to wonder if anyone will ever truly see you. I see you. Not the goddess, not the power you. The woman who's been alone too long, who loves too deeply, who's brave enough to ask for what she needs. His voice roughened with emotion. You're not just my anchor. You're becoming my everything. The words triggered something profound in their bond. Cosmic energy surged through Lariah, the celestial chains cracking further as her power flooded back. For one brilliant moment, she glowed so bright he had to shield his eyes, the goddess in her full glory, terrible and magnificent. But she dampened it immediately, choosing vulnerability over divinity, choosing to remain accessible to him. I love you, she whispered, the admission shocking them both. Outside, lightning struck closer, but neither of them noticed anymore. Morning brought an eerie calm to the nebula world. The storm had passed, leaving behind crystalline frost on alien vegetation and a sky painted in shades of rose and lavender. Kai woke with Lariah in his arms, her navy skin warm against his, blonde hair spilled across his chest like captured sunlight. For one perfect moment, everything was simple. Then the rescue beacon crackled to life with a sharp electronic chirp. A response signal, distant but clear, growing stronger with each pulse. Help was coming. Lariah went rigid against him. She sat up slowly, the thermal blanket pooling at her waist, and stared at the blinking light with an expression of devastation. They'll take you away, she said quietly, her voice hollow. And the chains will only fully release if I leave this world. But if I leave without my anchor. She didn't finish. They both understood. Without him, she would fade to cosmic dust, dispersing into the stellar winds like she'd never existed. How long do we have? Kai asked, his heart clenching. Hours, maybe a day before they reach us. She turned to him, galaxy eyes brimming with tears. Not enough. Never enough. He pulled her back down, kissing her with desperate tenderness. Then we don't waste what we have. What followed was frantic and beautiful. Lariah made love to him with an intensity born of impending loss, as if she could somehow imprint herself on his soul deeply enough that distance wouldn't matter. Every touch was a memorized treasure, every kiss a rehearsed goodbye. Her navy skin glowed faintly with divine energy as she moved above him, blonde hair creating a curtain around their faces. Feel me, she pleaded, guiding his hands across her body, teaching him every curve and valley. Remember me in every cell, every breath. Promise me you'll remember. I could never forget you, Kai gasped, overwhelmed by sensation and emotion intertwining until he couldn't tell where one ended and the other began. Afterward, they lay tangled together, both breathing hard, both trying not to think about the rescue ship growing closer. Lariah traced patterns on his chest with navy fingers, her touch reverent and sad. I could give you immortality, she whispered. Elevate you to stand beside me as an equal, transform you into something more than mortal. You could survive the journey off this world. We could stay together. Kai went very still. What would that cost? Everything you are, she admitted. You'd gain eternity but lose your humanity. You'd become divine, powerful, but no longer wholly yourself. It's a transformation, not an enhancement. I won't lie to you about what you'd sacrifice. He turned his head to look at her, this goddess who'd become his everything in such a short time. And if I stay human? Then I let you go, she said, voice breaking. And I fade here, alone again. But you'd live. You'd have the life you were meant to have. The rescue signal pulsed steadily, counting down their remaining moments together. Kai sat up abruptly, dislodging Lariah from her position against his chest. She looked at him with confusion and dawning heartbreak, clearly expecting his decision. "There has to be another way," he said firmly. "Kai, there isn't, no." He gripped her shoulders, navy skin warm beneath his palms. "You said the chains bind you to this world. What if we broke them completely? What if we used our bond, the anchor I provide, to shatter them instead of just loosening them?" Laraya's galaxy eyes widened. That's never been tried. The chains are celestial forged, meant to be unbreakable. The energy required would be immense, potentially fatal to you. Your mortal body can't handle that kind of power. But you could channel it through our bond, couldn't you? Use me as a conduit and focus? Kai's mind raced through possibilities, the engineer in him solving an impossible problem. We're already connected. You said yourself the bond is stronger than you expected. What if that strength is enough? She shook her head, blonde hair swaying. "I won't risk your life. I'd rather fade alone than kill you in some desperate attempt. Listen to me." Kai cupped her face, forcing her to meet his gaze. "I've spent my whole life running from connections, staying isolated because it was safer. You changed that. You made me want something more. I'm not going back to that loneliness, and I'm not letting you face it either. We try this together, or we don't try at all." Tears streamed down her navy cheeks. "You beautiful, stubborn, impossible man. Is that a yes?" "It's a yes." They had minutes to prepare before the rescue ship entered orbit. Laraya positioned them as before face to face, bodies pressed close, foreheads touching. But this time, she didn't hold back. She opened herself completely, letting her full divine power flow through their bond like a river through a canyon. Kai screamed as cosmic energy flooded his mortal frame, every cell igniting with power it was never meant to hold. It felt like dying and being reborn simultaneously, like touching the heart of a star. Laraya poured everything into him, and he became the anchor not just for her essence, but for her fury, her love, her desperate hope. The celestial chains blazed brilliant silver, smoking and crackling. Cracks appeared in the ancient bindings. Laraya threw back her head and screamed, a sound that shattered the air itself, and Kai screamed with her, their voices merging into one primal cry of defiance. The chains exploded. Divine energy erupted from Laraya like a supernova. But it didn't destroy Kai. Instead, it flowed around him, through him, reshaping their bond into something new, something unprecedented. He felt his mortal form shifting, not losing his humanity but gaining something more, a touch of divinity. Enough to survive at her side without burning away. When the light faded, they collapsed into each other's arms, gasping and laughing and crying. Laraya was free. Kai was transformed but still himself. And above them, the rescue ship descended toward two beings who no longer needed saving.